Welcome to the subject metal casting and welding in this module number 2, melting and metal mold casting methods. And welcome to the session number 4. It is presented by myself, Dr. Munirajyam, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Government Engineering College, Chamarajanagar. In previous sessions, already discussed about casting using metal molds, and then melting furnaces in that classification of furnaces, and then gas fired pit furnace, resistance furnace, and then different coreless induction furnaces I will discuss already. And then in today's session we will discuss about electric arc furnace, and then constructional features and working principle of Upala furnace. Next we will take electric arc furnace. It is a versatile furnace used to melt mainly steel. It makes use of electric current to generate the arc in the metal. The arc heats and melts the charge. Melting using electricity as a source of energy is more common. This is because electric furnace provides more flexibility and cleanliness in operation. In this, these are suitable for production of high quality of steels. In these are two types of electric arc furnaces: direct arc furnaces and then indirect arc furnaces. We'll discuss one by one. First, we'll take direct arc furnace. Here, the figure shows the direct arc electric furnace. It consists of a steel shell. It consists of a steel shell, and then usually it is in the form of cylindrical in shape. This is the outermost layer. It contains steel shell, and then usually it is in cylindrical in shape with a spherical or flat base, which is mounted on rollers to enable tilting the furnaces to tap the molten metal. On either side you can tilt. You can this side you can take the slag door, and the other one is you take the molten metal or pouring sport. The shell is lined with fire bricks. These are the fire bricks. That is also called magnetic brick. The roof is made of silica bricks. This is the roof, and then they're made of silica bricks, and then the earth is lined with basic material such as magnetic brick, and then the charging may be done either from the top or from the side. In this sketch I have shown from the top. Either in top charging, the type of roof can be swing along this with electrodes, while inside the charge type a side door is provided. A tapping hole with spout is provided to tap out the molten metal. Generally, 3 electrodes are arranged in a triangular pattern. These are the 3 electrodes, and then these electrodes can be raised or lowered by mechanical or other automatic means. This helps in setting the arc and to maintain a desired temperature. The electric current, usually a three-phase power supply, usually is made up of graphite electrodes, and then three carbon or graphite electrodes. The arc is struck between the electrodes and the charge. The arc gives out high temperature, usually around 2000 to 5000 degree centigrade, which melts the charge below the electrodes. Gradually, a pool of molten metal forms below the electrodes. This is the molten metal, and then which in turn melts the remaining metal in the furnace. Uh, the electrode should have high electrical and low thermal conductivity, and it should have good refractoriness and resistance to oxidation or chemical reaction. Also should have good strength at high temperatures. Usually graphite or amorphous carbon is used as electrode material. The excess slag is removed from the slag door. The molten metal is then uh, tapped into the ladle and taken for pouring the molten metal. This is about direct arc furnace. Next we'll go for indirect arc furnace. Here figure shows the indirect arc furnace used for melting small quantities of ferrous and non-ferrous metals. Here the furnace consists of a cylindrical or barrel shaped shell lined with a refractory lining material. The shell is mounted on rollers. These are the two sides roller mounted on rollers and can be tilted through 180 degree. This facilitates for easy pouring. This facilitates for easy pouring the molten metal, and also the rollers provide rocking action to the furnace that speeds the melting rate. The two carbon electrodes are these are the two carbon electrodes, and then two carbon electrodes are mounted along the horizontal axis and can be automatically adjusted for maintaining the proper arc column. This is the arc column, and then you have to maintain a distance, proper distance. You have to maintain the proper arc column. A charging door and pouring spout serve their purpose. This is about construction of this indirect arc furnace, and then working principle. Here in this the ingot steel scraps and alloy metals and fluxing agents are charged into the furnace, and supplying the necessary current and voltage. The arc is struck between two non-consumable carbon electrodes. The electrodes are brought closer together and maintained so that the arc remains between them. The charge melts by radiation from the heat produced by the arc, and also by conduction from the heat absorbed by the refractory lining. And then once the metal melts, The furnace is rotated, that is set to rock to and fro. This helps refractory lining to get heated up and also the molten metal exposed to a larger area of the heated lining. Rocking stirs the molten metal homogeneously, and then when the liquid metal reaches the desired temperature, the furnace is tilted mechanically and the molten is tapped in ladles and poured into the molds. That is about indirect arc electric furnace. Next we'll go for cupola furnace. In this cupola furnace, cupola is a vertical cylindrical shape type furnace. It works on countercurrent principle. Charged materials will be descending downwards, flue gases will be ascending upwards. Thereby, exchange of heat between the rising gases and the descending charge takes place efficiently. Coke lumps are used as a fuel, and then limestone is used as a flux material. Coke, limestone and metal charge are charged into the cupola in the same sequence with a definite ratio. And then the construction of cupola. This is the simple sketch of cupola furnace, and then this is used for cupola is used to produce cast iron, and then cupola is most popular and widely used furnace in a foundry. And then construction of this cupola, it consists of a cylindrical shell of large height to diameter ratio, supported on legs on the bottom. These are the legs supported, and then height is more as compared to diameter wise, and then usually in cylindrical shape. It has two semicircular steel doors hinged at the bottom, and it can be opened or closed when required. And then the inside shell is lined with fire clay refractory bricks. These on both sides. This is the fire clay refractory bricks. The entire structure is placed vertically on a rigid concrete base, and then when the doors are closed and the clamp, the furnace bottom is prepared by ramming sand mixed with fire clay on the top of the door. Immediately above this, an opening is provided on the circumference of the shell and is called a metal hole. This is a tap hole, this is a molten metal will pour, and then it is a slag spout out, and then through this spout molten metal is drawn from the furnace. Opposite to this metal spout, another hole is provided in the shell to tap the slag. This is nothing but a slag spout. Slightly above this wind box, slightly above this wind box is provided around the shell, and then number of holes are provided in the steel shell that is covered by the wind box. These are called tuyers. and then wind box is connected to a blower, and then this wind box is connected to a blower through which the air is made to enter, and then the blast of air enters the inside portion of the lined shell radially inwards. The air provides necessary oxygen for combustion process. For above the wind box, a charging platform is provided to facilitate storing of charges and then the movement of operators. Close to the platform, a charging door is provided, and then a charging door is provided with a wood or spark arrestor, and then this ensures arresting of the sparks emanating from the furnace to facilitate easy operation, and then reduce the projection of furnace above the ground. A pit of 3 to 4 feet is dug below the ground to house the furnace. The height of the coke inside the cupola from bottom to top to the wind box is referred to as nothing but coke bed height. This is about the construction of cupola. In this you are using metal flux as well as coke. Okay, in the ratio you can using there are 3 layers. Again you have to place 3 layers, and then you will go for working principle. In working, they will again divided into 5 basic groups, and then starting the cupola, charging cupola, and then melting, and then dropping down the bottom, tapping down the slag and molten metal, finally dropping down the bottom. We will discuss one by one. In starting the cupola, before starting the cupola, the bottom doors are closed. Here the bottom doors are closed and locked. This door also closed, and then you have to close this tap also, and then on this door sand bed is prepared, and the metal spout is closed with a cavity slug, and then burning wood splinters are dropped from the door of the furnace. Slowly wood pieces starts burning, and some more wooden pieces are dropped. When this also catches fire, and then coke pieces are dropped from top. The coke pieces slowly catches fire, ignite, and becomes red hot. Here this is the coke bed. Okay, and then now charging of cupola. Now coke lumps are dropped continuously into the furnace up to the wind box level. The wind blast is slowly turned on, supplying air for combustion. The wind blast, okay, that is slowly turned on, supplying air for combustion takes place, and then this results in turning of coke pieces continuously. Now alternative layers of coke flux as well as metal, that is nothing but iron, charges are dumped inside the furnace till the inside portion of the furnace is filled up to the charging door. The blast of air is increasing and kept at maximum. The air enters the furnace through these tires. Coke not only acts as fuel but also acts as burden until melting occurs. Limestone acts as flux and protects the metal against excessive oxidation. Next we'll go for melting section. Here in melting section, okay, above this zone and up to the charging door is the free heating zone. uh, Here as the temperature inside the furnace reach very high value, the coke burns off. Limestone fuses and metal charge melts and trickles of liquid metal starts dropping down to a bottom of the furnace. The molten metal collects at the bottom and accumulates. The external charging of the furnace is continued just above the two areas in the wind box. Maximum temperature is attained and this zone is referred to as superheating zone. It's as shown in sketch. Okay, this is superheating zone. It is above this molten metal. And then here the molten metal is heated to above its melting point, hence referred as superheat. And then above this zone the actual melting of metal takes place. This zone is called melting zone, and then this zone is approximately 2 times to that of superheat zone. Above this zone and up to the charging door is free heating zone. Here metal charge, lime and coke will be free heated. Above the door and up to the wood region it is stack zone. Only flue gases escapes through this zone. As the cold charges are moving downwards, the hot flue gases will be ascending. This results in a very good heat exchange between the two, and then charges gain heat and the flue gases lose heat. This phenomena is referred to as counter current principle. The charging cupola is continued and the molten metal gets accumulated, and the slag formed also accumulates above the molten metal due to their density difference. And then next is tapping slag and molten metal. Here the slag door is kept open always, and when the slag level inside the furnace reaches the slag spot, slag starts coming out continuously. This is an indication that the molten metal is ready for tapping. This should happen at around 15 minutes after full blast of air to the furnace. The bottle green color or of slag also suggests that the molten metal quality is good. Now the metal spot is opened and the molten metal is tapped into the ladle and collected. The furnace operation is continued and the molten metal is continuously tapped. The furnace is stopped by stopping charging. And the last one is the thing but dropping down the bottom. Here after tapping the molten metal completely from the furnace, the bottom doors are dropped down. The slag drops out of the furnace. After cooling, the necessary patchwork of lining is done before the next melting operation. That is, the ratio of coke and metal is referred to as coke to metal ratio. For a good coke, it should be anywhere between 1:8%. It is around or it may be 1:10% by weight. The percentage of limestone is around 5 to 7% of the metal charge, and then inside line diameter of cupola determines the melting capacity of cupola. Uh, it may vary from approximately around 68 to 275 centimeter. And then cupola is specified by the quality of molten metal that can be melted per hour. For example, we'll take 10 tons per hour means 10 tons of cast iron is melted in 1 hour. Cupola is used to produce cast iron, and cupola is the most popular and widely used furnace in a foundry. This is about working of this cupola furnace, and then we'll go for zones in cupola. in zones in cupola, there are 4 main zones: well zone, combustion zone, reduction zone, and free heating zone. We'll explain one by one. First, we'll take well zone. Before that, the height of the furnace can be divided into 4 various zones for study purpose, and observe how the melting process takes place. In this well zone, combustion zone, reduction zone, and free heating zone, and then this is nothing but well zone up to this tire level. Afterwards, combustion zone is our oxidation zone. From here above this oxidation zone to melting zone, and then reduction zone is up to here, and then free heating zone, this is in the flow gases free heats the charge. And then first we'll take well zone. It is the portion situated between the rammed sand bottom and just below the bottom edge of the tires is the thing but well zone. The molten metal is occupied in this zone as shown in the sketch. Okay, and then in combustion zone or oxidation zone, here the combustion zone or oxidation zone is situated from bottom edge of the tires. In this zone where rapid combustion takes place, due to which a lot of heat is generated in the furnace. The temperature in this zone varies from 1550 degree to 1850 degree centigrade. In this combustion zone, that is carbon combines with oxygen, you will get carbon dioxide, is exothermic reactions. In this lot of heat is generated, and then we will go for reduction zone. In reduction zone or protection zone is the portion located from the top of the combustion zone to the top of coke bed. Some of the hot carbon dioxide gases as moving upward through the hot coke gets reduced to carbon monoxide. In other words, reduction of CO2 to CO in this zone. Due to reduction, the temperature reduces around 1200 degrees centigrade in this zone. That is carbon dioxide combines with carbon, you will get carbon monoxide, and then this is the endothermic reaction, loss of heat will be occurred. And then above the melting point you will get a free heating zone. Here the portion occupied from the top surface of the melting zone to the charging door is called free heating zone. The hot gases rising upwards from the combustion and reducing zone gives its heat to the charge before passing out of the furnace. Thus, the charge is preheated before descending downwards. It is about different zones in cupola. Thank you.